As everyone continues to talk about gold, we're constantly looking as investors of how we can gain exposure. We can look into maybe royalty companies. We can look into buying gold physically by itself. Maybe it's exploration companies or maybe it's producing companies. But one way or another, a lot of investors are constantly looking for that opportunity. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today is one of those opportunities with Jaguar Mining. We're going to be going over a little bit about their CEO and what he's done over the last 5 quarters of really turning around this company and having some really powerful quarters over the last year and a half or so. We're going to go over some details of what exactly is Jaguar Money and what type of opportunity is out there for investors. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the exploration side of them as well. So without further ado, to be able to speak about this and the man I was just speaking about as well, CEO Vern Baker, my good man, welcome.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And I just want to start before anything. I love the fact of right now, a lot of the times we bring on CEOs and executives, they're in their suits, they're in their offices, your boots on the ground, hence the attire right now. And I absolutely love that. If you can speak a little bit about what brought you to Jaguar Mining and also something that I find a little bit more unique right now is that you're living right beside where you need to be.
Um, yeah, well, actually, that's one of the reasons I came to Jaguar. Jaguar provided the opportunity for me to go to work with a couple of really neat underground mines that needed some help and had some nice improvement plans in front of them. So I took that opportunity. And with coronavirus, of course, leadership becomes even more critical. So basically, I split duties with my vice president of operation. He stayed at one mine, and I've stayed at the other mine. Uh, with coronavirus, we're not allowing cross pollination to happen, and so we're out here and actually having a good time working with our crews. We got some great teams of people here in Brazil. They've really stepped up, dealt well with the stress of the coronavirus, and so far we've been able to manage our way through the process of the coronavirus, the quarantine, and the various issues that have come with it. We're in the process of building a company that can produce 100,000 ounces a year on a very sustainable basis. So we had a poor set of years for the 3 years prior to 2020. Did a lot of work in 2019 to get things set up, and this year we're really on the comeback trail. Progressively, I think we've accomplished 5 quarters with increasing production levels. And in this quarter, we're very close to our target of 25,000 ounces a quarter, and pretty confident we will exceed it in the final quarter of the year. So we really hit next year on stride to be that sustainable 100,000 ounce producing company with the benefit of having some great exploration plays to develop and push our organizations and our mines forward. And we think a very good cost basis. We should be producing for less than $900 all in sustaining costs from our properties. We think we have a lot of opportunity even just within our mines with the acquisition of new technology and the increases we're seeing in our resource base.
Yeah, absolutely. We mentioned a couple times now on the 5 quarters and what's really happened throughout those. But just before we get to that specific point, if someone has never heard of this opportunity before and about your company, can you give a really brief overview of what Jaguar Mining is?
Jaguar Mining is a gold production, development, and exploration organization. We're based in the state of Minas Gerais in Brazil, centered out of a town called Belo Horizonte. And this is actually a very distinct and old mining camp. The area has produced gold continuously for about 325 years. One of the larger gold camps in the world, even though many people in the gold industry haven't really heard of it. We have some tremendous potential as both as a company and as a district and a camp to develop more gold right here in Minas Gerais, Brazil.
Absolutely. And, at the very onset of this interview, I was talking about how a lot of investors are really paying attention to gold and a lot of precious metals and other metals as well, but really, really paying attention to gold. And there's different ways in which you can gain exposure. For yourself, being a junior mining company, what do you think the advantage is for an investor looking at Jaguar and looking at the fact that you are a junior mining company compared to maybe a medium tier or top tier producer or even a top tier explorer? What do you think those advantages would be?
Well, we kind of bring together certain skills. We are getting to be. We still have some progression to make, but we're going to be one of the best small mine operators in the world in the near future. And with that, we're going to have very strong margins on our production, which is going to give us the money to explore. We have a very large land package here in what's called the Iron Quadrangle. As iron formations are predominantly what our gold is found in. So we have strong production. We have very good cash flow coming. We have a lot of opportunities to use that cash flow. And we have a tremendous amount of unused infrastructure. We currently have three plants for milling and processing gold, only two of which are running. And the capacity of those two plants are running at about 60%. So we have almost 2,000 tons of available capacity within plants that are already running. So very cheap to roll that back in. And we have a third plant that's got about 2,000 tons of capacity and is not running. It's been on care and maintenance for several years, but it's in pretty good shape. We keep the mills turning, make sure things stay lubricated there. So we have a tremendous amount of ground, much of which already has some kind of known gold occurrence on it. And we have a lot of capacity to expand production quite organically. So we don't have to go out and buy a lot of stuff in order to increase our production. So our leverage is the fact that we're small enough. We have all the leverage of an exploration company, a big find, which is quite possible here. It makes a huge difference for us. And we're good at running the stuff that we will find if it's smaller finds. So we can leverage almost any size exploration success into good shareholder value. So, it's a great place to work as well. Being part of Brazil now, we have a good mining culture here. We have a great group of people here in Minas Gerais, and we have built some good teams that we can really leverage to the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd like to come back to that point that we've now mentioned a few times about the 5 consecutive quarters of improved growth. You were brought into this team, and this was going to be a turnaround story. After going 5 consecutive quarters in a row of really making these improvements, it's safe to say this has been a turnaround story. I mean, your improved production profile, your MRMR, and you brought down your unitary cash costs significantly while also increasing your treasury significantly. Is there any one catalyst you can put behind this? Or, in your words, how are you able to accomplish this over the last year and a half?
Well, I came in almost exactly just a year ago. Came in August of 2019. We started. The team had been working hard up to that point. They hadn't had a lot of success yet, but they had built a very good plan. And I quite agreed with the plan and came in with the concept of not changing it, but continuing to push that plan forward. Our teams here on the ground have done a great job of continuing to move forward with those plans and to accomplish them step by step. So, what we've done, we're growing our production levels. We still have about 10% more to gain from last half to this half in just our production level of ounces. As well, we're getting better and better at what we're doing, and we're expanding our resource base, which expands the opportunity within our mines to produce, whether it's giving us more flexibility or giving us a ability to produce at a higher rate. So those things have all come together. We're continually improving our actual production and development processes in the mine so that we're seeing good levels being done at good costs. And then, of course, we got the wind in our sails when the price of gold's moved from about $1,400 to $1,900 plus. That's a nice benefit for a gold company. And on top of us being in Brazil, we've seen a significant discount in the FX rate. The Brazilian real has gone down about 20% from in its relative value to the US dollar. And so that's helped us lower our costs on a per ounce basis. So, we got some good wind in our sails. We've done a good job, I think, of getting the sales up. And, we're gonna drive the ship forward as well as possible. I think we can provide a lot of opportunity and a lot of value.
Yeah, and well said. I appreciate the detailed answer there. And we focused a lot on the fundamentals when we're talking about production and cost and all these various different things. We're talking a lot about the production side of your company. But there's also an exploration side of your company so that you can continue to explore and continue to grow your infrastructure and just grow your resource base that you're potentially able to find. With speaking on that, if we can turn to a few questions I have on your exploration side, and specifically about Turmalina and Pilar, can you talk a little bit about what the exploration potential is at those two properties?
Well, these are our two active mines. And we have to be careful when you get me talking about exploration. I'm a miner. I love mining, but nothing can get a gold guy more excited than thinking of putting a drill bit into a great ore body. What we've seen at both mines is we have a significant amount of potential for additional structures other than our main structures, which we've been mining for about 10 to 12 years. Additional structures, and this is a very structurally controlled camp, meaning there's some kind of fold or contortion within the rock, and those are the areas that have localized gold. We found several other structures and have actually already started mining in several of them in both mines. So we have an opportunity to find additional resources higher up in our mines, so they're a little easier to get to complement the great ore bodies that are going to depth at both mines, and give us more flexibility, more leverage. Literally, the last couple of years, we haven't spent a lot of money, and we began spending it at the end of last year, and we've accelerated our exploration spend this year as we started really being able to contribute to our treasury. But really, we've had great luck. We've increased our reserves at both mines significantly in the last year and a half, with very little spent. And now we got some drills turning. We think we've done a good job of mapping. We really excited about what we can find in these two mines and how that can improve our profiles going forward and making sure they're sustainable and have growth potential.
Yeah, and I appreciate it again. And you commented very briefly on my next question, and I'm sure many people, especially those who love the exploration world, they love that little bit of blue sky potential, whatever you want to call it, is your exploration budget. Can you speak a little bit about that, about both in 2020, but also what you plan to have for that budget for 2021?
Um, we started the year with really an exploration budget of about $4 million, which coming off a year where we actually coming off of 3 years where we had not made positive cash flow was a big commitment by our board of directors to go ahead and commit a significant amount of money to exploration. Since that point, we've committed to 5 million additional in spend this year. And right now, if I look at our total spend next year, I would expect for exploration it'll be well above $10 million. It kind of depends on what shakes out with what we're doing right now, but we got some external to our underground mines. Some is on the same properties, but they're ore bodies that aren't incorporated into the underground workings right now. We have some opportunities that are just quite exciting for us. So we're delighted. We got a drill turning. We got another drill coming right now for the surface. We've actually ordered our own drill so we could do some drilling with our own crews. And we're driving on permits for one property. We've done geophysics across three major properties that we have, and we have roughly 20 additional properties with some kind of gold occurrence that we're looking into to see which one do we want to drill after that. So it's an exciting place. I mean, you can walk around here and see a hole in the ground that they mined 300 years ago, and there's a lot of them. And they didn't go real deep in those days. They didn't have pumps, and they certainly didn't have jumbos and trucks like we've got now.
Absolutely. Well, Vern, I appreciate it. And honest, this might be our most boots on the ground interview we've done with a CEO yet. The attire that you're wearing, we can hear everything hustling and bustling in the background. We know that you're there right now, making sure that shareholders are getting the most value possible by pushing your team and actually being right where all the action's happening. So I appreciate you taking time out of what I can imagine is a very busy day, and I just appreciate speaking about your opportunity, answering a few questions, and giving investors a little bit better of an understanding of what it is that you've been doing with Jaguar and what it is that Jaguar is in itself. So I appreciate that and look forward to hearing the story progress as we have an interview in the next little while as things continue to progress and change. We'll continue to have you on to keep investors in the know. So I appreciate very much for your time.
It was a pleasure. I always love talking about the great team we have here and the things we're doing. And I hope to get the chance to talk with you and tell you how we're doing in the near future.
Absolutely. Take care now.